There are so many electric cars we see on the road, but there are not so many electric camper vans. Jurrien and Sara bought an electric van and converted it to a camper. Today they're going to give us a tour and share some insights how it is to travel in Europe in 100% electric camper van.
We bought it at the end of 2020 without even seeing it. It was an empty cargo van, and then we had to convert the whole thing ourselves. It's the first fully electric model of the Fiat Ducato, which is of course the most popular base for camper vans in Europe. So if you look down here, you will see a lot of space. It's a fully electric motor. It's 90 kilowatts, and there's actually a lot of empty space in there, which we don't use.
How big is the battery?
Underneath the van, that's where all the batteries are. So we have 5 battery packs for a total of 79 kilowatt hours.
And what is the mileage range usually you get out of it?
So it depends a bit on conditions, how fast we're driving, but usually we say about 250 kilometers when driving on the highway. So that would be 155 miles. And if we're driving on provincial roads like these, it's a little bit more. In winter, if it's really cold, then it gets a little bit less.
Oh, I was expecting actually worse. It's not so bad.
It's pretty good, yeah. For EV enthusiasts out there, our consumption rate is about 33.3 per 100 kilometers.
How long it usually takes to charge?
We can use fast charging stations up to 50 kilowatts, which is not super fast, but it's better than only using slow chargers, which we of course also do. We can charge up to 11 kilowatts, AC. So if we charge at fast charging stations, which you can see along the highway all over Europe, usually it's about 45 minutes to an hour to get, from example, 20% to 80%. You never charge more than 80% usually at fast chargers. If we're standing at a slow charger, for example, for the night, then it could take like up to 7 hours, but it's fine because we're sleeping anyway.
How much you pay for electricity? Would it be like more or less if it's diesel?
That's an interesting one because it also, again, it really depends. Like if you search for fast chargers that are cheaper, which we like to do, for example, we charge a lot at Lidl, then it can actually be quite cheap. But if you go to fast chargers and you go to the more expensive ones, then it can be more expensive as well. But we've paid anything between 0, because we find free chargers sometimes too, although that is less and less now, to €1 per kilowatt, which is quite expensive, but usually we do it for a lot less.
Mm-hmm. So what is the average?
We can say for 100 kilometers of range, we pay between 0 and 30 euros. So on average, yeah, it can be somewhere in between there, but we are often on the lower range because we've really found how to find those cheaper charging stations. We use a lot of charging cards and apps to help us with that. And yeah, we've been to 15 countries in Europe now, and most of them it's quite easy to charge cheaply.
And you have solar panels on the roof, but I guess it's not to charge the battery.
No.
The main battery.
3 big solar panels on the roof.
Yeah.
For a total of
975 watts.
Yeah. We have 3 solar panels on the roof for a total of 975 watts under ideal conditions. Unfortunately, we can't use those to trickle charge our traction batteries, but we use those to charge our separate house battery, which is another pretty big one, a 906 amp hour house battery, because it's a fully electric camper van, which means I'm also cooking electrically on induction. We're heating electrically. That's really what the big power draw is. And of course, we work from our laptops all day, so we have a lot of charging going on. But with the setup that we have, in summer, if there's enough sun, then we can just wild camp indefinitely, which is pretty.
And the heater, how much usually it would spend the night, or you just do it evening and morning and then at night?
We actually do it just evening and morning. Yeah, we have good blankets. We don't do it. We are Dutch, so that means we have to have bikes because we're Dutch. And we also actually have electric folding bikes, so we charge those up with our house battery as well. And if you'd like to take a look at our electrical setup, so this is the house battery that Jurrien built himself.
That takes a lot of space, huh?
Yeah, it does, but the garage is big enough. Honestly, we have almost more space than we can use because the weight is something that we really have to watch. Our batteries, the car batteries I mean, are super heavy. So if we want to keep below 3.5 tons, which we want because we're capped at 3.5 tons, we could have gone for another vehicle, but then we would have needed different driver's licenses right now. It doesn't give us a lot of room to play with, so we really had to go with a very lightweight fan base.
What is the weight now when you travel?
3.5 tons.
Okay. We usually say the same.
Yeah. It's just really, really tricky. The batteries, I think they weigh over 650 kilograms.
Mhm.
So, yeah. And we live in it, so we also need our stuff. We've done okay. Like, we've really tried to keep it lightweight. And actually, the good thing is that the European Union, they just passed legislation to actually have these vans go up.
Mm.
So it's going to be possible in a couple of years for people to drive with a normal driver's license and do up to 4.25
Yep.
tons. So that will help immensely with electric
Yeah.
camper vans. And our van can actually handle more weight, so we're also gonna up the weight then. We won't have any issues anymore. It's just a bit of a waiting game.
Yeah. In UK you can actually already.
Yeah.
And in Europe, there will be. They actually now passed on one more for all camper vans to
Yeah.
put it up to 425,
Yeah.
even for
Yeah.
diesel and petrol.
Yeah, first it was going to be only electric, and
Yeah.
then we did fair.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So you have the charger point. Is it for the vehicle or it's to charge the house battery?
So we have one point to charge the house battery for campgrounds or something like that. But this is also where we charge our vehicle. So this is where we put our normal charging cable. And this is CCS, so that's when you're fast charging your vehicle and you plug in with the cable that's attached to the charging station.
Right. And there at the bottom is for the lithium batteries.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it theoretically possible to charge in shore power too, the vehicle
Yes,
battery?
for sure. We have what we call a granny charger, where we can very slowly charge the vehicle. So if we're ever running out of power, but there's a farm nearby, we can go there. We don't use it a lot because one, it's very slow, and two, it's very hard in Europe to pay for the electricity you use, for example, at campgrounds. So we don't feel it's, how do you say it? Nice to do, to steal basically that amount of power and only pay a couple of euros. We're hoping, and I think we're seeing this more and more, that it's going to become more normal to just pay for use, and that would be great because then we can also charge at campgrounds and things like that.
If we ever strand somewhere, we can use the solar panels to charge the battery at the back, and then the battery in the back charge the van and drive 30 kilometers.
Yeah.
Again. So
And then actually, if you would be somewhere all the time in the south, you could build some kind of slide-out solar system, no, to recharge in a few
the
days.
issue with panels is at the moment they're not really efficient. So I think it's only, for us, it's only 20% of the energy hitting the panel is converted to electricity. And these panels weigh 20 kilograms, 19.6 kilograms each. So they're not producing the energy that we need to move them.
Yeah.
So at the moment, that's not really feasible. If you use some sliding out system, it's heavier, it's more. So in the future, yes, but it's a 400 volt system that's from, I think we're at 100 volts because we're in series, to a 400 volt system. It's technically possible, but we don't want to lose the warranty yet. But maybe in a couple of years when the warranty goes, then we're going to try to find a way to do it. Yeah, just trickle charge the batteries. Yeah.
What are the dimensions of the van?
So we have a van that's just under 6 meters long, which is great for ferries and stuff like that. We're quite high. I think we're 2 meter 75. Yeah, because we've added solar panels and Starlink and so on. But yeah, it's pretty drivable, which is nice. Construction using aluminium profiles, which is super lightweight, and these plastic Europe-based boxes. Yeah, it's a bit of an industrial look. Like, I would have loved to have like proper wooden doors, but that's just really heavy. And I've actually come to quite love it because it's super convenient. They don't slide out or anything. So it's a pretty great system. We both work as digital nomads, so we've got two pretty good setups to work on our laptops. So this is one of them, and then this is my favorite spot. I like to sit here. And yeah, we really built the van for the two of us, but if we have people visiting, which we do, of course, Jurrien and I move to the back and we let the guests sit at the front. Unfortunately, the first Educato model was really just built as a diesel van, and they refitted it with the electric motor, batteries, everything like that. So it wasn't built as an electric vehicle. There's a new model coming out this year, so it will be exciting to see. Hopefully they made some improvements, because our electrical setup, it's not even in our normal dashboard. So that's something that we can see here. So here you can see the battery percentage and how much range we have left. But it's quite basic. We would have liked it to be a bit more. Yeah, we know, like in more modern EVs, well, ours is from 2021, so it's quite new still. You can see a lot more than we can. So it's a bit of a shame, but it's okay. One thing that most EVs have and we do as well is regenerative braking, which is just amazing, because you get power back once you not even brake, but put your foot off the gas, basically.
Yeah.
And it also really helps conserve the brakes. You actually need to check brakes with EVs more, because they don't get used so often, so they can even rust up. So that's pretty funny. But in the mountains, for example, it's just a really nice way to drive. And it's very silent, of course, which is great.
And to keep the range, as you mentioned before, I guess you're somewhere around 100 kilometers per hour, not faster, or you go faster? Slower.
Yeah. We can go. Our maximum is 110. You can see it here on the gauge.
Okay, this is the top of what it
Top
can
of what we can do.
Yeah.
But we prefer to cruise along on 90 kilometers an hour because it's just the most efficient, and it's actually also nice driving. Makes for a nice.
And if you would go 80, it would be even a bit longer range.
Better, yeah. But we don't want to annoy the trucks too much. Like if we're driving and there's a lot of trucks, we can go, of course, a little bit faster. So we have different modes. So that would be in drive mode, but then eco mode is our normal mode, and that's 90 kilometers an hour.
And the heater you use is just like vehicle heater, or you installed some additional?
It's a vehicle heater. Annoyingly, it doesn't have a heat pump, which most modern EVs do as well. So it actually draws a lot of power. So we used to have a convector heater right under here, but that actually did draw a lot of power. So we actually just took it out and replaced it with an EcoFlow 2. And that's a combination between a heat pump and air conditioning. And it also has its own battery pack. So we're hoping to be able to heat a little bit more comfortably while wild camping, because we just love to stand free like you guys, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, at a campground, of course, it's no issue, but we just want to be able to be a bit more free in winter as well.
Right. Yeah, but that means as well, like in summertime, you can use just this now air conditioner. If it will work, you didn't test it yet, so you don't know. But before you would use air conditioning in the car if you would be in super hot locations, or just open windows?
When driving, of course, yes, we have air conditioning, and it actually doesn't draw that much power as heating, so that's totally fine. But when we're stationary, we just use, we have a max fan, which is great, and we can open all the windows and create enough airflow that it's pretty doable. We also never travel to the south of Europe in summer. We like to go in winter. So yeah, we just try and find the places where the temperature is pretty comfortable.
Yeah, and you got very big windows.
Yes.
I think they're one of the biggest you could get.
Yeah, I think so, yeah, we just wanted to have a very light interior and be able to see the view.
And this was the for the heater outlet.
Yeah, so that's useless now.
And and you use this all aluminum. You can buy these things and they're like screwing together, or how it works, or you have to weld them.
We get them at like 2 meters, and then we just have a meter saw and just saw them at the length we need. Put some brackets and screws in, and then it magically appears, and it's a kitchen block or. It takes a bit of time, but you can get them by meters, or you can get them cut on the right sizes.
And they have this connection angles and
angle stuff like that. You can buy separately.
So you don't need to weld it, then just cut and screw together.
Screw together, yeah.
And you know the weight, how much you added with the kitchen and bed and in aluminum framing?
I think it was very. I'm not entirely sure because we weighed while it's in the van, but I'm able to pick up this and this together on my own without really. Yeah, the hassle is it's getting bigger, but the weight is just if I put them on top and I just put them up, it's fine.
So
it's pretty light.
It's really lightweight, and building the same size cabinet from wood, for example, that is sturdy enough to hold everything in it. It's too heavy to lift or to.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so it really helps.
So it's like 20, 30 kilos, not more.
No, not more.
Yeah.
No more.
Why did you decide to build the electric? Because it would be much easier diesel just to buy and build.
Yeah, it's our background is I'm a travel writer, you're a photographer, and we used to fly around the world a lot to make magazine features or articles for Lonely Planet, for example. And we saw before COVID already, every place we visited, people were talking about climate change. It should be wet, but it's dry. It should be cold, but it's hot. Like we just saw it everywhere, and it just started feeling weirder and weirder, the amount of flying we were doing while telling these stories about these people. And then, of course, COVID happened, and from one day to the next, we had no more travel. We were stuck at home in Groningen, here in the Netherlands. And we just got to thinking, like, is there a way to do it differently, to travel more sustainably, but also slower, because we were having a very fast-paced life, and we just really wanted to, take it easier.
Slow down.
Slow down, yeah. And then it was 2020, and we were like, well, in Norway, like Teslas are selling like hot ones, so why not do it in a camper van? Like that's nice because Jurrien can take his camera gear and he doesn't have to carry it on his back. We'll be free to go wherever we want, even in a pandemic. Like we're self-contained, so that's really nice. And then we thought, like, it should be possible, right? Electric should be easy. Well, back in 2020, it was actually not that easy because there were only like smaller EVs available, and we knew we wanted to live in it, so we wanted to be able to stand up.
Oh, they were not even in the spot, like if you would go to shop and
there were
showroom.
Vans available, so not converted camper vans, but there were vans. But the range back then was really bad, so max 100 kilometers.
Yeah, that's what I always thought. I didn't know that there is more. Yeah.
And then in 2020, Fiat came out with, we're going to bring out the Educato with this range. And then we were like, okay, that's it. So we didn't even see it. We didn't even get to take it for a test drive. We were just like, yeah, we're going to do it. Which, by the way, I wouldn't recommend to anyone because first models of a new van can be a bit tricky. We've really had some issues as well. But yeah, we're really happy that we did it because it is really, it's the slow travel, the slow life. And yeah, being able to do it more sustainably is just really cool as well.
And the swivel seats were in the van already, or you had to install them?
We installed them.
You installed them?
We had to install everything. Yeah, actually, if there was like a
Seats were there with the swivel.
Yeah, not swivel seats, yeah.
if we would have been able to buy like a fully converted electric camper van, we might have done it, but that just wasn't possible then. So that's why we had to do it ourselves.
But you had no building experience before?
No, but Jurrien, he did do building school. And art academy. So we knew like he had a bit of background. And I didn't have any experience, but I was the lovely assistant. So
designer.
Yeah, no, not even.
Not even designer.
No, I was just working and saving up money so we could do this.
So how long did it take it to build it?
We're still not done.
Yeah, it's still not done actually, but I think about a year. I mean, we did miscalculate on that a little bit. We thought we might be quicker,
but like holidays, evenings, and or full time.
I was actually doing it full time. Yeah,
okay.
I was working and full time. Yeah.
I quit my job to convert that because the timetable was 6 months.
Yeah,
was a bit tricky, so it turned out to be a year because we had some issues with the van. Out of our control, so it took a bit longer than we thought. So we started and went on our first trip.
And then he also decided to do a second build after that first trip because, of course, everything was not as he wanted.
Battery wasn't in the right place. I found during the first trip. So
no, it's very. He's a bit of a perfectionist, so we've kind of have it now like we actually want.
So you actually rebuilt it.
I took everything out except for the insulation.
Yeah.
And started over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it could be in 6 months.
Yeah, and also if your van doesn't break down, which happened to us, it could be 6 months.
Yeah. So what actually happened to the van?
So we had some teething issues, several smaller things that weren't, we could overcome them. But after about half a year, the van stopped driving while it was charging at a fast charging station. And it
overcharged battery 5.
Yeah. Overcharged on the battery.
One of the batteries had overcharged during charging.
And because it was so new, the garages, like the workshops, they didn't even know how to handle an electric Fiat. Like now, Fiat Professional has all these electric vehicles out, so now they kind of know. But back then it took so long to even find out what was wrong. And it was almost 4 months in the workshop. So we,
Oh, wow.
yeah, we lost it for 4 months, which is,
Yeah.
yeah, it was really painful. But I didn't know if I was able to say this, but I think I'm able to say it now because we've been on the road for 2 years and it's been so great. So it was worth it.
Okay.
It was worth the hassle.
So they had issues with the batteries and electrical system because it was something new.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's completely
There
different.
was a fault that didn't happen while testing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Battery stopped working. What happened? We have to find out. So they had to do some testings at the factory before they even knew what went wrong because
Okay.
the fault codes they didn't know.
Yeah.
I had some ideas, but I don't work for Fiat, so they didn't listen really good. But yeah, they eventually they fixed it and it drives now, so that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the new model will come out. I think it will be more like advanced. Like
Yeah.
it will be built for the electric.
We don't know yet
Okay.
because we haven't seen it.
Okay.
Apparently, there are some demos in the Netherlands, so we're looking for a moment where we can make the time to do a test drive to see the difference.
It will for sure have a much better range. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. And also now the new Mercedes e-Sprinter also has a better range. The 40 Transit has a similar range, but that's also a really nice van. So it's really cool to see because when we got started,
Yeah.
this was literally the only option that had like an actual range we could work with. And now there's all these models flooding the market.
And it's way cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
more affordable for everybody to go electric now because the newer variant is already way cheaper than the one we bought.
And the one we have, like a lot of delivery companies bought this vehicle. So that means that now they're coming on the market secondhand, which is also really nice because, yeah, it was when we bought it, it was super expensive.
Yeah. So how much did it cost?
92,000 euros,
Oh,
including
yeah.
taxes for an empty van.
Yeah.
So,
Well, for the batteries. You
Yeah.
paid-
60 for the battery,
Yeah.
basically.
yeah, it's about 60,000 euros for the batteries. Like
Yeah.
that's how expensive it was.
Yeah.
And now it's much better. So.
You know nowadays approximate price range.
I think like Fiat Educado is 20,000 euros cheaper, but don't quote me
More.
on that. Yeah.
More.
And the 40 Transit, I think it starts at like 40 or something.
With similar battery or
Similar battery, and it's built as an electric. So they had the 80 Transit, but they thought about what would an electric vehicle need in this.
Yeah.
So they have sensors and everything is built into the dashboard instead of a separate screen.
You can actually draw from the traction battery via an
Yeah, there's an inverter on there.
Power outlet. which
Yeah.
is really good.
So that's what I wanted to ask. Like, it was not possible to use the battery of the vehicle.
It would have been possible, but we would have lost our warranty. And because we'd had issues already, we didn't want to do that. So we have 10 years warranty on the batteries, which is pretty good. If that stops, then I think by that time the technology will be far advanced enough that you can make a one connected system, which will be really exciting.
So we know of a couple of camper builders here in the Netherlands that are converting Mercedes AMQs or the ID Bus to campers, and they have connections with, for example, Mercedes or the Volkswagen Group, and they have allowed them to take energy out of the batteries for induction cooking or heating, but they're not allowed to hook up solar panels to charge back.
Oh,
And that's because if something goes wrong with the battery, it's almost always when they're charging.
okay.
So the Mercedes say you can take some out, that's fine, but you're not allowed to put energy back into the system with solar panels or stuff like that, because who's responsible for the battery breaking down? Is it the one placing the solar panel, or is it the company that made it, or is it Mercedes? So there's a bit of a gray area about using solar panels to charge vans.
Yeah, but they have an inverter built in already, or you have to put your own.
We didn't have an inverter built in.
No, I mean the new ones that already, like
Yeah,
you say,
but
that you
a
can
lot of
get.
them have, yeah.
Okay, because induction stove will
1200
take,
watts,
like,
something like that. Yeah.
but it will take 2500, like induction stove, no?
This one, the top bit is 1800, and this is 1200. And
Yeah.
they're never on full blast. So I think
Okay.
if we cook, we use about 600 watts.
Oh yeah, okay.
But yeah, just putting on some cooking, it's about 600 watts. Yeah, 8.
I don't know why not more people are cooking on induction, because it's so great. Like you extend your workspace in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and we always have enough power.
Yeah.
Of course, because we've got a big house battery, but you don't need as big. And it's just so brilliant. Like, you never have to change out your gas bottles or anything. And yeah, it makes sense for us because we're an electric vehicle, but I think like you should see them more in.
Here I had some issues with the sound, so microphone didn't record anything anymore. Below the sink they have a 12-volt fridge. Under the bed is slide-out garbage bins, and under the countertop there is a composting toilet from Nature's Head. And next to the bed they have plastic boxes instead of wardrobe to save the weight.